exciting economies that make up our country, because we all know that Ghana is a culturally diverse country. And in that sphere, when you go to the creatives, we've made use of that diversity in presenting many different looks and views, and our clothes reflects where we come from, the way we dress also reflects where we come from within Ghana. So it's been a very important aspect of our development. And the industry itself has consisted of many ginneries and textile mills producing our traditional, what we now call our traditional kente, adinkra, the smock, which we call batakari, which is almost unique to Ghana, batik fabrics, which are tie and dye fabrics, and wax prints, which somehow have made an imprint on Ghanaian dressing. And I can see many people wearing very nice wax prints. I think I like to represent mine as well. So it's been part of our history, it's been part of our heritage, and it's a major part of our culture. And if you go back into time, it was a major employer. Many people were actually dyeing or weaving and putting all these things together. And today, it still holds a very important part of our tourism attraction in weaving. For example, if you go to where in Kumasi and a bit beyond Kumasi, you find the kente weavers there, which is a major attraction. And many people go to see how kente is woven, because kente is unique. But we also have had the same kente now being sort of bastardized with other prints. But we still believe that it's a major part of our textiles industry and a major motivation. But I must say that over the period, though, for the past few decades, Ghana's textiles and garments industry has had quite a number of ups and downs. And if you look in the 70s, Ghana's industry had about 16 large and medium-sized factories and textiles farms, and with about 138 garment manufacturers. However, this number has drastically reduced to only about 4 major textiles companies as of 2002, and probably less now, but we are seeing a major resurgence. And the 4 major ones that sort of existed by 2002 and have struggled to still be here are the Ghana Textile Manufacturing Company, which is called GTMC, the Akosombo Textiles Limited, ATL with the brand Acotex, if you remember, the Ghana Textile Product Gtp, and then Printex. And they have sort of held the flag and remained the mainstay of the garments industry in recent times. But if you look back, it paints a picture of decline, but also a picture of hope and resurgence. Because as of March 2005, GTP produced about 9 million yards of fabric, whilst ATL probably did some 80 million yards. GTMC produced about 2.24 million yards, while Printex produced about 9.8 million yards. And I'm sure if you go back today, you'd see that that has declined a little bit. So at that time, we had an annual output of about some 39 million yards. But as of March 2005, that was only about 50% of the initial capacity that we had, the total initial capacity that we had on all 4 firms. So they could have probably done twice as much. But the decline, for many reasons which we'll go through, came in, and it signaled a drop in output from the 65 million yards in 2000 to about 39 million yards in 2005. So it's not like we haven't had a vibrant industry before. We did have one, but it sort of dropped. Now, many factors can be adduced to why this decline. First of all, I would say that the rapid surge of the Chinese imports and the sudden surge in the Chinese influence on the textiles industry definitely made a dent on us, because they had critical mass and economies of scale. That means they were producing at a much lower cost and be able to export to us. And then, of course, we also perhaps allowed the import of used clothing and all that. That brought a dip on our textiles industry. And then that caused low demand in domestic textiles and a relatively high cost of production. In textiles, high import duties and way bills, smuggling and dumping from China, from Vietnam, from many other parts of the world, and influx of imitated products, which for me was a very big pain, especially some of our trademark kente products, etc. And then, of course, last but not the least, the lack of raw materials, because we didn't have a large enough cotton production base to support our ginneries and our textiles mills. So we had a significant fall in exports, and total export value in 2016 stood at about $24 million from the $285 million that we had in 2011. So you could see a very sharp drop in export values, which is another painful realization. And if you look at employment, from about the 25,000 people employed in the sector in 2005, by 2016, we had less than 2,000 in the formal textiles industry, which meant we lost quite a number of jobs. And if you look around some of the textiles producers, it was painful to see all these factories actually drop production and people go home. But by 2017, we've seen and we saw a resurgence in activity, and exports actually climbed up to some $98 million from the 200 from the drop that we had in 2016, which I said was only $24 million, to $98 million as of 2017. And this was driven mainly by a number of initiatives. For example, the Dignity DTRT factory, which is a JV between an American company and a Ghanaian company, which had a sudden growth and employed about 1,500 workers alone, and capacity to produce 80,000 T-shirts and 50,000 polo shirts per week. And I hope this campaign season, they should have been very active, because T-shirts are in high demand. They'll be able to do it. But we've seen some other players come into the market, like 1647, which is a UK factory, a UK company which has established a factory in Ghana and has expanded. Still, we've seen some of the local entrants like Sleek Exports also expand. We've seen Ethical Apparel from the UK come in. And it was very exciting to see in 2019 a group led by KPH actually visit Ghana, looking for a home for textiles production in West Africa. They visited Ghana and had very comprehensive discussions. So I believe that we are poised for a resurgent and an exciting time in the textiles and garments industry. And I believe that recent reforms by government to re-energize that sector are a major fillip to many of our people who are in that industry. I'll just go through some of the initiatives that have been done. For example, the initiation of a nationwide stakeholder consultation exercise in 2018, which brought together the producers, a few consumers, the manufacturers, for the development of a comprehensive and integrated reform program to provide solutions to the sector's problems. And I mean, we did say that the problems in the sector were numerous, from the high cost to lack of raw material, to competition, for dumping, etc., etc. Now, this consultation involved about 126 stakeholders from the leadership of both the Industrial and Commercial Workers Union, management and local unions of the local textiles manufacturers, garment and leather employers union, wholesalers and retailers association, amongst others, but also some of the individuals who have been in the sector. Now, the reforms include the introduction of tax stamps for locally manufactured and imported textiles, for one, which then meant that we could actually track some of these imports and where they go and who consumes them, and also get the appropriate tax, because I did mention that dumping was a problem. Then, of course, the introduction of single dedicated entry corridor for imported textiles using the Tema port, which was very important. Then we could actually monitor what came in and cut the smuggling inwards. And then the implementation of a textile import management system to coordinate the import of textiles, including the vetting of designs and logos. It's not that, government to decide which logo or design were there, but to ensure that registered designs and logos were not abused, because we saw some other imports of Ghanaian registered logos and textile designs being imported cheaply, therefore disrupting our own industry. So it was very important. And of course, government also put in place a structure to provide support and incentives to local manufacturers to improve their competitiveness. And I believe that alone has really opened up the space for local participation in the industry and energized our local producers. And of course, to push and then to scale up, we also opened the gates for attracting foreign textile manufacturing companies to invest and partner with a lot of our local people so that they can actually open up to the global markets in a more constructive and structured way. And we are also setting up Ghana to be a hub for textile manufacturing in the sub-region. And with the advent of the AFCFTA, I think this is a very laudable and notable idea, and we seem to be doing the right things. But we are also conducting significant market surveillance to ensure that we understand where the industry is and where it's going to, and how to monitor compliance with the new policies and measures that have been introduced. In 2017, the Ministry of Trade and Industry introduced and established the Association of Ghana Apparel Manufacturers. It's a business network for garment and segment professionals. And I dare say that it has really given a lot of energy to many of the garment producers, especially my big sister here from Sleek. And we hear some of the names that are there. My brother over there is in that sector. We hear of Nalem. We hear of many other producers who are there. We hear of my good friend Ochidaku and his, I keep getting confused, whether it's 1957, which is a very instructive date and label, and takes us right back to our heritage. And this has been pretty interesting for the sector. And for once, we are seeing a lot of Ghanaian products go out there. We are seeing a lot of Ghanaian trademarks and designs also represented. And I'm sure you all bear testimony to seeing, was it the House of Congress in the US with the Kente stole around their necks, which gave us a technology high five saying that we are well represented. And
it may well be represented next year if...
Oh, absolutely.
If Donald Trump wins. But let me just pause you there, because yes, you lead us into a very interesting conversation on, Ghanaian cotton, the cotton industry in general. You've painted a very good picture of our past, very vibrant past, the decline, and then hope and resurgence. But let me just move straight into the other discussion on Ghana's cotton. But if you're just joining us, this is the biggest conversation we're having on Ghana's textiles and garments by kind courtesy of the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, together with our partners, the Cotton Development Authority and the Association of Garment Apparel Manufacturers, AGAM. We'll be right back after this break. Stay tuned.
Located at the center of the world, Ghana is the best investment destination in West Africa and ranks as West Africa's first in the Ease of Doing Business Report 2019. It was projected as one of the fastest growing economies in the world, with a growth rate of 6.8% in 2019, and has been declared as Africa's new bright spot after being ranked 4th in the world and 1st in Africa in the 2019 Global Retail Development Index. As the host of the African Continental Free Trade Area, Ghana is creating the linkages that will make it the gateway to Africa, aided by dynamic policies, a stable political environment, and strong economic fundamentals. It is a land of opportunities, offering businesses across many sectors the potential to flourish. The country is open and accessible to investors and the private sector, providing a peaceful environment and upholding the rule of law. The government of Ghana is confident and optimistic about the positive results in its investment drive through the GIPC. Ghana has 8 million hectares of arable land, well irrigated by a wide network of water bodies, making it a region ready for large-scale mechanized agriculture. The government and major policy planners recognize that expanding the agro-industrial base is the best path to develop. Ghana has put in place the right legal and regulatory framework to increase foreign direct investment. The Industrial Zones Program allows manufacturers and agro-processors to take advantage of favorable tax and duty incentives to produce for exports from Ghana into the EU and US markets. A rich cultural history and wonderful natural beauty makes Ghana a great tourist destination. The Year of Return Tourism and Marketing campaign in 2019 positioned Ghana as a key travel and investment destination for African Americans and people of the global diaspora. The year recorded significant increases in the number of visitors to Ghana. Ghana's growing consumer market is providing compelling reasons for investing in the services sector. The retail sector has been valued at $24.4 billion. A growing middle class with increasing purchasing power is creating demand for a wider variety of sophisticated services in healthcare, finance, and education. In the region, Ghana has one of the highest mobile penetration rates at 140%, with data penetration at 89%. The country has a thriving startup scene, helped by access to broadband internet that runs on fiber optic and 4G net US dollars. Ghana is an English-speaking nation located in the center of the geographical world, with flight times from Europe or America averaging about 8 hours. Transportation networks in and out of the country have received enhancements in order to aid the ease of doing business. It has a new international airport terminal and an expanded port infrastructure. Tema Port is one of the largest in Africa, with a capacity to handle 3.5 million TEUs. The expansion in the economy is largely due to oil and gas development. Other sustainable sources of power, like solar, wind, and thermal, will significantly increase the country's energy resources. We invite you to share in Ghana's optimism, be part of the incredible opportunities we offer, and be open to the idea to grow in Ghana and grow with Ghana.
Welcome back. It is the first of its kind, the GIPC Garments and Textiles Investment Meeting, happening right here in Accra, Ghana, the center of the world. This morning we gather for a very important conversation, the future of garments and textiles in Ghana's industrialization drive. Just gone by was a welcome address by the CEO of the Ghana Investment Promotion Center. He also went on to touch on investment opportunities for the future, industry growth, and job creation. Now, we go to a very important area, taking off from where our CEO left off, a glance at the Ghanaian cotton industry and its prospect for the garments and textiles industry in Ghana. We're blessed to have with us the Executive Director for the Cotton Development Authority. He joins us online. Let's make welcome Mr. Michael Abana. Mr. Abana, if you can hear us, good morning. Can you hear us, Mr. Abana? Okay, we seem to be having a few hitches with Mr. Abana, but we're live on all our social media handles at Ghana Investment Promotion Center, on Facebook, on YouTube, on LinkedIn and on Instagram. Please send the message out there for all our stakeholders to please come on board. Let's now move to a very interesting discussion, shall we, while we wait for Mr. Bana to connect with us.
Also make the point before we actually go into the investment opportunities that recent developments by governments to incentivize the industry have been very instructive and have done quite well. For example, to try and forestall the Chinese juggernaut, dumping in Ghana and bringing itself. Government has actually stretched out to them to have Chinese manufacturers come to Ghana and partner Ghanaians to actually print and manufacture. And I think that should help reduce that, because we definitely will not entertain any unfair trade practices, but we also would encourage investors coming in. And to push that forward, government has also introduced zero-rated VAT on locally manufactured textiles for 3 years from 2019. And that in itself is also to ease the cost pressures on manufacturers and an industry, allowing them to lower prices and increase competitiveness. And in addition, the budget pledged to support, to give financial support to local manufacturers and incentives to local manufacturers as well, to help them upgrade their facilities and become globally competitive. And there, of course, duty exemptions on plant and machinery already that is there for the establishment of textile plants in the country. And there are also locational incentives of up to about 50% of your corporate taxes, depending on where you locate, for textile and garment firms. So I dare say that it's become a very attractive area for investment. But beyond that, I think for us, it's also a question of national pride. I mean, it's always so beautiful when you see on Fridays, we see our men wearing all these very nice, colorful shirts, and our women dressed in the cloth. It creates a certain vibrance in our communities and in our culture. And I believe that, and I'm even thinking that maybe a GIPC, we should make it a trademark activity, that we wear more of local fabrics and clothing than we wear of imported, So we'll see how that goes.
Now you've gone ahead of us in the discussion by going through all these initiatives by government, but it's all good. Can we have Mr. Bana on the line? Is he still with us? Okay, we'll come to him later. Let's now go to some success stories, if there are any. Now, Mr. Gregory Cantor, you join us as a designer yourself. You're the founder of the group Nalem STM, an indigenous Ghanaian brand with significant international exposure. Thank you for this one. At least I got it from your shop.
You didn't give me one. It's on the way.
It's on the way. Now, share with us. Are there success stories of well-established garment and textile manufacturing companies in Ghana? If there are, how can government support them for a better impact?
Wonderful.
You have 5 minutes to do that.
Yeah, thank you. So there are 2 of us seated here.
Okay.
So that's a good start. Having said that, Ghana has been part of a success story for this sector, dating independence, pre-independence. Uncle Yofi spoke about the Kente. It has been with us, and it's given Ghana a very significant leverage and branding. We've got our Dinkra symbols, we've got the smoke and our wax prints, and look at Auntie Nora seated here, very impactful design, and I see a lot of dots in the audience. So what this tells you is Ghana is naturally gifted with the talents and the resources. Digging back into the apparel value chain, we can take from the way we weave our baskets, that's fashion. The way cotton is even harvested, and this used to be a thriving industry after independence. And even though it's in a downturn, there are people who still think it is in their DNA. So the last time I was in the Upper East region, I met some cotton farmers. I was wondering what they're still doing here, and they said there's nothing else they can do. So it tells you it runs through our bloodstream to do this. Having said this, what are the advantages we have as a country that we can leverage on? As already said, Ghana is one of the countries that a foreign investor came, as in Dignity DTRT. In some other countries, they took 3 to 6 months to train various levels of technical expertise. In Ghana, within 2 weeks, people started operating machines and at a good efficiency. Secondly, this is an industry that has a huge job creation potential. I'll tell you what, how many days do you need to train somebody who would iron? It's probably just in a few minutes. You just have to let him know how to regulate the machine and not to stay too long. That's this industry. This is an industry that is so diverse. So I spoke about the agricultural side, all the way to leather. Actually, in some countries like America and India, they put all these industries together. So they call it apparel, leather, and interior decoration. That spreads all the way to architecture, So in a nutshell, what I'm saying is, this is an industry that's worth looking at. Ghana as a country has seen during the First Republic, as in during Kwame Nkrumah's era, we heard of the Gihok manufacturing, and I remember as a child, I met some clothing and the Achimota shoes and all that, Then we came to the PSIs, which was led by the Kufuor and, of course, Alan as the trade ministry. And we saw an upsurge in Ghanaian exports. Of course, the industry grew, and Antinora is a testimony to it, Then what happened? We lost focus again. We are back here again. But the beauty is, Ghana has proven again we are very capable. Corona came as a misfortune, but for our industry, it gave us an opportunity to prove to Ghana and the world that we are capable and able. So in the space of a month, we're able to manufacture enough to feed the health system. We are currently manufacturing to feed the educational system. And I promise you, the time spans are very short.
Okay.
Usually, it could be just 2 weeks, and we are able to do it. So having said this, I just want to say this advantage doesn't come on a silver platter. So as a country, we have to look in certain ways. One, we have to tackle the challenges that is hindering us from taking full advantage of these potentials we have as a country and as a people. One, it's a shame sometimes to even think just information and access to it is a big problem. I've always told a lot of young designers, just the use of your smartphones and how to use it to access information instead of using it to gossip and all that. But these are all trainable things. These are things we train people to do. So if governments would look at this, and also we have to be very, very positive about our potentials as a country. I go to other African countries, and right from the airport, they look at your outfit and say, you must be coming from Ghana. So it tells you we have great advantages or opportunities. Then
you're wearing 2 hats today. You're here in your own capacity as a designer, CEO of your own firm, and then you're here on behalf of your association, of which you're the president, And I just want to ask you the first part of the question. Success stories of well-established garment and textiles manufacturing companies. What constitutes success in your space?
Okay.
How many successful companies are there?
For now, we have so many of us, but it depends on the level of success.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Antinora has been around for probably close to 40 years,
mm-hmm.
Over 40 years,
yes.
Okay. And I know she's seen up turns and down turns, but she's still here and owns one of the biggest factories in Ghana. That's a success story. I started without a single machine.
Okay.
I remember I used to come to Data Bank. I don't know if you remember that. And I used to come in a carrier bag, then upgraded to a knapsack. And now we graze it to various shops across the malls, you know. And just to speak from our association, AGAM is made up of the largest apparel manufacturers in this country. So typically, we are factory owners. And the largest has probably over 2,000 machinists. Whoa. Okay? And when I look at what we are capable of doing, given the time we use to manufacture the PPEs, within 2 weeks, I expanded my capacity to close to 400 or over. Okay. And I'm just imagining, Mr. Grant, if this were continuous, I'm very sure by now we should be hitting over 2,000, you know. And during this period, I've seen factories run shifts, day and night shifts, right here in Ghana. I've seen bus loads of people fed in from even Kumasi, Ashama and all that, just to make sure that we are able to meet our timelines. So success stories, we have it. The narrative has to change from us being here due to resilience to a very structured government strategy to support the industry to leverage on its advantages.
So let me just pause there. Let me allow you to pause there for a while. You've talked about, you know, the fact that there are successful companies. Let's go to raw materials, and this is where I believe Mr. Michael Abana comes in very handy. He is the executive director of the Cotton Development Authority. He will give us a glance at the Ghanaian cotton industry and its prospect for the garments and textiles industry in Ghana. Michael, if you're here. Michael, can you hear us? He joins us on phone. Hello, Michael. Oh, we seem to be losing him. Okay. So now let's go to yet another friend of mine. Now you all know about 1957 and their great exploits at the Year of Return. In fact, the BBC dubbed it as the biggest cultural expose on the African continent. Kofi Otridaku joins us as the CEO of 1957. KOD, thank you for joining us. Okay, we'll be getting KOD in a short while. Okay, so let's just hang in there as we take another, perspective, bridging the gap between demand and industry capacity. Now, you've all heard of AGOA, which came. Oh, we have Michael on the line? Okay, let's bring in Michael before we go for AGOA. Okay. Michael, can you hear me? Hello, Michael.
Good morning.
Good. Yeah.
spinning facility. The facilities are already there, and they can, through period arrangements, have their cotton in for them to market.
Michael, if you can hear me, let me just push you a little bit. Michael, can you hear me?
Apart from that, in particular in the northern sector of this country.
Hello, Michael, can you hear me?
The climate and the people are ready and used to cotton production. And so investors who are interested can easily come, and then they'll be led to production areas where they can be fully engaged in cotton production. I'm excited about the Palogo multi-purpose dam, which is coming up, which will make available over 20,000 hectares. I think that to put that over 20,000 hectares to good use, cotton must feature within the whole production system.
Okay.
Because crops that are rotated with cotton also benefit from fertilizer and are able to yield good, are able to provide good yields. And so it's an opportunity for investors to be looking at right now, so that part of it and to be able to make use of it so that we can increase our production base.
Okay, Michael, if you can hear me, just stay on the line a bit. Let me engage you. Let me engage you on this. We've heard all your submissions, but let me just put it to you straight. Do we have the capacity to feed all the textile and garment concerns in Ghana?
Oh yes, I think we have. In the 1998-99 season, this whole country will produce about 38,000 metric tons.
But currently, let me just put in this. Currently, there is, rumor out there that we're importing cotton from Ethiopia and from Egypt and from even Burkina Faso.
Yes.
How so?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear. Can you come by the first bit? I didn't get it.
So, I mean, the notion out there is that we can't meet the cotton demands in the country. So as a result, we are even importing cotton from Burkina Faso and Ethiopia.
Yes, you are right. That currently we don't produce enough to feed the textile mills and spinning mills in the country. But the point I'm making is that we have the potential to do that. But currently we lack the requisite investments into production.
What in your view?
The point that we have 80,000 metric ton capacity generating facilities across the cotton belt.
Okay.
So that investors who are interested in production can easily come, and all they will need for us to be able to get them a place, the land, and then they'll be able to produce, and they don't need to look at going to acquire gineries and so on.
Okay.
So that's the point I'm making. So currently, as we stand, we cannot feed the textile and spinning firms in this country. That's a fact.
Okay.
But the potential is there, the land is there, the people are ready, the houses are ready, the general facilities are ready, and the authority is poised to support investors that will come and be interested to go into production, that we can at least be self-sufficient in raw cotton production.
Okay.
If we haven't learned anything at all about this COVID, one thing that we should learn is that it gets to a point where the outside world will no longer support you.
All right.
You have to be able to do it on your own.
Okay. So,
and
Michael,
the land in Ghana is better than the land in Burkina Faso for cotton.
Okay.
It's just that we haven't been able to take advantage of it.
Okay.
And so the authority, which has been reconstituted, is very much poised to look at that. And working with GIPC, we think that we should be able to attract investors who would come and invest in production. We want investors who would come with a full complement of machineries on the resources, because the cutlass and hoe that we have used sometimes that didn't help much.
You've made the point very loud and clear, Michael. Let me just pause. Let me just pause you here.
Okay.
I'll come back to you. Please hang on.
Okay.
But this is where we really need to understand that to sustain our presence on the market, we need a strong supply base. For which reason I believe we are poised for the next conversation on bridging the gap between demand and industry capacity. In your capacity, Madam Nora Bannerman Abbott, you come in handy as a fashion colossus. You've been in this system for a long while. Speak to us about bridging the gap between demand and industry capacity.
Good morning, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, especially my colleagues in the industry. My participation in this meeting this morning should first of all excite us all. I want us all to be excited. I want to call us to action, and I also want to sound a warning. Now, to do this, I must take us back a bit and share something with all of us to excite us. I went into the industry in 1979. As Yofi has shared with us, there were about 140 textile companies, garments and textile companies, employing over 25,000 people. I went in as a fashion designer. There was no need for me to establish a factory because there were factories that were manufacturing effectively and efficiently. All I needed was my designs to present, have them produced and export. And then I decided to, expand my markets. Now to expand this, I'm sharing my experience with you so that we can appreciate that from my one machine and my passion for fashion, I built something. We can all build something. We don't need to crawl along and try to get back where we were because everything is moving that quickly. But let me come back to this. I decided to look at high fashion and designed and styled First Ladies of Africa. It opened the markets for me in Botswana, in South Africa, in Zimbabwe, in the Ivory Coast. Where have you? The market opportunity was there. And then with the support of, then it was the Ghana Export Promotion Council, I think. They brought in buyers into the country. And we were able to get orders and export to the US. I want us to know where we have been before.
Okay.
I was able to export 10,000 pieces of my own designs, and they were batiks.
Okay.
And batiks are handmade. I got creative. I used a textile mill to do the dye, the base dye, and then had the handwork done. 10,000 pieces, no rejections. And then the EU office here in Ghana sponsored Maule Okujeto, the late Kofi Ansah, and myself to showcase our designs. That's how exciting it was. On the European markets, on fashion runways in Paris and Dusseldorf. We were making strides, but what we discovered was we were sharing ideas and not getting the business back into Ghana or Africa. So we decided it was time to create something and create the platform here in Africa.
Okay.
Unfortunately for us, and I'll come back to that also, about bridging the gap, partnerships, but I'll come to that. So we had this platform. And then I moved on to explore the US markets. And the US market impact was so great that Akosombo Textiles, GTP, and then it was Spintex, not Printex, they began to get so much sale that they gave me fabrics for free. They started giving me fabrics for free for my shows on the international platform. That is how well Ghana was doing. Our fabrics became so popular that they gave me fabrics for free. But then what happened was this. China, up until the 90s, was not doing well on international or global markets. But they took note. And this is where I want us to pay attention. They took note, and what did they do? I used to do a lot of stuff in Kente. They found out that we hand weave the Kente and we couldn't do volumes. So they turned this into the cotton prints. They put cotton print Kente on the markets, and then we had to buy from them. And I'm one of those who kept saying, why don't we do this here? There are documents that I wrote and papers that I wrote in the 80s for Akosombo Textiles, but they didn't take note. Of course, in those days, I was one, if I could borrow the word frisky, not in a negative way, young one everywhere else. And if Honorable Alan Chemantin was here, he would warn you that Nora has a lot to say, and you have given her the platform, so be ready to hear. So anyway, this is what China did. And then China got onto the markets. Now, we were already in the African markets with our designs, and they were getting very popular. Again, China took note, stepped in, and started exporting cheaper prints. They weren't doing well at first, but Africa, we allowed ourselves to be the guinea pigs for them to try out their products on us without picking up on it. And then soon, the textile and garment industry started dying in the various countries, including Ghana. So what did we do? We just slapped on tariffs and made it very difficult for us to, export and operate in the African markets. And this is how some of us had to retreat back to our own domestic market, which had then now been flooded by the Chinese imports. And I say that I want to sound a warning to us. So the tariffs were slapped on. We didn't have the markets. China had the markets. But now we have AFCFTA. But the warning is this: we have it, but we need to have control. We need to appreciate what we need to do. Otherwise, China, whom the whole world has turned into the manufacturing country of the world, they are also watching. Because under WTO rules, we are not limiting access, are we? You know, we are supposed to allow access. So we need to position ourselves well. How do we position ourselves well? We need to learn from some of us. What went wrong? There was a PSI. It was a great initiative. And Sleek Garments Export Limited was the first company to be invited to take advantage of this. We were Sleek Fashion then. There was skills development, training. There were the technical persons who came through to support us. But then everything didn't happen at the same time because we were more concerned about saving monies here and there. It takes money to make money. You either go all the way or you don't go in at all. And that is where the difficulties came. And I think it was Gregory who shared how short a time it takes to give training, and then how short a time it takes, that is, if you have the equipment and you have the infrastructure to access international markets. It took Sleek Garments only 90 days to get onto the US markets with 75,000 shirts, not African print shirts, shirts that compete globally. And they were sold in Ross stores all over the US, if you've heard of Ross stores. That's how competitive we here in Ghana were at the time. At the onset when we got the AGUA visa. We got it in 2000, the year 2000. And I served on the committee representing the private sector for Ghana to get this AGUA visa. So we already had the platform. But what happened? We didn't do what we should have done. And bridging this gap calls for a partnership, private and public sector partnership. That is what China did. That is what China continues to do. And they haven't let off. So we need that partnership where it's real partnership. The public sector is doing very well. This government has established agencies to support the private sector to succeed. We have CEO of GIPC. He himself showcases our textile, our fashion wherever he goes. He doesn't stop talking about it. All the platforms are available. But how well are we taking advantage of this? Because private sector, we supply information. But do we follow on to help with the implementation? And also private sector and private sector partnerships. How well are we ourselves doing? Do we fight together to put the message across that we don't need to crawl? We have been at the top. Sleek Garments has been on international platforms with top fashion designers, just as Kofi Ansah and the rest. We have accessed all the markets before. Our strength lies in the strength of those who have made it before. We don't need to crawl. We don't want to crawl. We must stop attending small shows. It's of no use to us. We need to target countries that have tariff agreements with us because it makes us more attractive. That's number one. We talk about infrastructure. Ethiopia is doing well, but buyers complain that they've situated factories way out of central parts. It's so difficult to travel out there. Ghana, we must learn from that. We have done something and we are doing pretty well. Those of us fortunate to be at Ajabin and so on, it's easily accessible. We must remember that the workers, they are about 90% women, I think. Most of them are young mothers, you know, they are or in the childbearing age. They need to be able to get home quickly when there's an emergency, to make it attractive for them to continue to operate in the industry. We need to be where travel time is cut short. You don't need workers waking up at 5 a.m. to travel a long distance. By the time they arrive, they're too tired to give you the output you need for the day. That's one thing. We also need to remember, we were talking about cotton, and I'm so glad Mr. Abana, I've lost the, Abana.
Yes.
Yeah, he said we had done it before and we can do it again. You know, my rise to fame at the time was through a company that was supplying, I think, Akosobo Textiles with cotton and the cotton threads. They gave me fabrics for free, which I put on international markets. We were doing well. We were exporting cotton. We were manufacturing cotton. Some of us were even manufacturing garments out of grey baft. It was easily available. We have done so much before, but we have to invest some more.
Okay, so let me just pause you there for a while. You've made some very
I
amazing...
warned you.
I know now. You've given us a very good, historical, antecedent to the present condition, and you've actually articulated on partnerships, private and public, as a way of bridging the gap. But you admonish us to also attend big shows, make our presence felt. But I like the last bit you brought in, incentivizing the private sector. There is a young colleague of yours who has just entered the market. He's been at it for 8 years. Last year, he hosted what has come to be known as the biggest cultural expose on the African continent. The CEO of 1957, ladies and gentlemen, Kofi Otridako joins us. KOD, how nice of you to join us. Okay, I hear we've just lost KOD. A brief moment and he'll be right on. Let's talk about AGOA. Now, you talked about AGOA and the benefits, but even before AGOA, there were inroads like yourself and other people. AGOA came primarily to make access to the US marketplace AGOA came in handy as an opportunity for Ghanaian businesses to access the US marketplace, increase the exposure for made in Ghana goods, and create more jobs. Now, in 2015, Ghana exported 9 million worth of goods under AGOA. In 2016, 29 million, of which 12 million was from non-oil goods. Now, while this trend is impressive and, it leaves a lot to be desired. It's for this reason that we're joined this morning by a senior advisor to the USAID. This man has worked with the USAID in several roles in Prosper Africa and the new presidential initiative, and has served in a variety of positions in civil society, allowing him to help shape the conversation on AGOA. Please welcome Mr. Gregory Simpson, the senior advisor, USAID. Gregory, how nice of you to join us. Okay, I'm told we're struggling with, the network to get Gregory back on. But Yofi, let me come to you. We're talking about partnerships. What has the GIPC done to foster partnership between the private and the public sector?
That's a very important question because it's really about partnerships. And I think people do not understand the import of partnerships because it's SDG number 17. Okay. The last Sustainable Development Goal is partnerships and linkages. Partnerships and linkages create opportunities for mutual benefit. First of all, with partnerships, you get access to capital. With partnerships, you get access to state-of-the-art management practices. With partnerships, you also have opportunity for building new markets. So it's very important to have partnerships. And for us, we have always supported these initiatives. Like we work together with the UK-Ghana Business Council to bring in KPH and other people who are major manufacturers. And the delegation that came in 2019 consisted some of the biggest buyers of clothing and textiles and garments in the world. And so those are the sort of facilitations that we do to bring them over and showcase the opportunity here and how we can exploit that opportunity. But we also, this conference is one of the of the partnership engagements that we actually will keep doing. But you spoke about the market.
Yes.
And there are some very interesting numbers. The EU imported $67 billion of textiles in 2019. The US imported $31 billion of textiles in 2019. Vietnam, which is now a major producer of garments, imported about $16 billion US of textiles. Whilst we may not have that capacity, I believe that on the garments side, we have significant capacity. And indeed, it was such a great joy to me to recently see a video where Beyonce was in a dress with Ghanaian fabric. You know, so it's not like our garments do not already have worldwide appeal.
Okay.
And we've had, and Nora did say, I remember many years ago, a few decades ago, the name Kofi Ansah was just not a Ghanaian name. It was all over Africa and in Europe and the United States as a fashion designer. Maoli Okujeto was, if you're a young man and you didn't wear Maoli Okujeto, then you are not in the market. You see, and today is 1957. And there are many others who are making amazing and fantastic clothes, who need partnerships to enable them bring out the qualities. We are now seeing the textiles companies also come up. So we have Akosumbo really scaling up significantly and engaging global players to bring some exposure to the market and open new markets. So we've done it before and we can be there. And interestingly, the textiles and garments industry is really a low-hanging fruit for job creation, as my brother said. I mean, you can train people just to press clothes. You can train people just to cut. You can train people to stitch. You can train designers. And we are never short of designers because of our diversity of our culture.
Okay.
And so the interesting thing about the textiles and garments industry too is that it straddles a number of economies.
Yeah.
And we didn't mention agriculture because of production of cotton. And I'm told that production of cotton is one of the most lucrative businesses in the northern part of Ghana. The returns are amazing. So that's a great opportunity. It also creates opportunity in industry. So as we have one district, one factory, you may decide that you may locate some manufacturing enterprise in the textiles and garments industry to benefit from the incentives that really are given to companies in the one district, one factory. And there's enormous potential. I mean, like, they did say that each district should have a factory and a manufacturer, 260 districts. One district alone can have 260, garment manufacturers.
Okay.
So the opportunity and is limitless. We just have to take advantage of that. And our job at the GIPC is to facilitate these partnerships, but also to create the space for mutual beneficiation of investors. So even as we bring foreign direct investors into the textile space, they are better served when they partner with Ghanaians who understand the culture, understand the designs, understand the logos, understand all the other collaterals within the industry. But I dare say that we have something of great beauty. We just need to take it as an economy and as they say, the world's your oyster. We just need to get in there and do it. And Kente is such a powerful African mark that we need to take advantage of.
And talking about that bold step that we need to take, we're joined by KOD, the curator of the Rhythms on the Runway, considered the biggest cultural expose on the African continent. KOD, can you hear me? Hello, KOD.
Good morning.
Good morning. Have you been following the conversation?
Yes, I've been following the conversation.
Okay, so you created this extraordinary platform to showcase Ghanaian, textiles and garments. Tell us, now the performance of Ghanaian textiles on the international market, is international demand enough to raise export earnings for the sector?
Let me say that. I mean, if you look around the world, there's so much love and zeal for people to wear garments that are made in Africa. Unfortunately, it looks like the Western countries are the ones who are actually showcasing what we have as a people. I was listening to Auntie Nora earlier when she talked about the fact that the Chinese have gone ahead to produce in mass quantities, printed into fabrics, for instance, because, they can't get them weaved as we have them in Ghana. There is so much attention on everything African in terms of our music and our fashion as well. It looks like music is doing pretty well out there, but then our fashion aspect is not doing as well as it ought to be. Partnership within the continent is a challenge. Some of us export to different parts of the continent, but then the bigger picture is to make sure that we're sending garments to all parts of the world. I mean, Africa's time is now, and we need to take advantage of it. Elsewhere, someone like Mr. Grant, very often it's rare to see Mr. Grant without wearing something African. He's a true Pan-Africanist, and one of the things we need to do is make sure that on every platform we're not just showcasing who we are and what we represent as a people, but also taking our garments and fabrics out there. I'm happy to say that, the garment industry is actually being revived, and it's being revived as we speak right now. But let's take it a notch higher to make sure that we're exporting what we have from here to different parts of the world.
KOD, from your experience as a businessman and the curator of this very great platform, tell me, if you should focus on exports alone, together with some of your colleagues in the industry, do you think it will bring significant income to the sector?
If you follow
just exports alone,
I mean, I was going to say, if you follow what fashion does worldwide in terms of earnings for countries, it's about, I think, second or third biggest earner worldwide, and we should not be taken out of that narrative. Ghana, and for that matter, Africa. Look at what would send from here. If we look at the number of people would employ, for instance, in the fashion industry alone, not even to speak of the textile industry. You have people who are going to stitch, you have people who are going to sew, those who are going to press. So if we have so much export from here, and not to the smaller markets, but the bigger markets who are also very ready to experience and have everything African. I mean, what would make in return would blow our minds. But we need to have a concerted effort to actually project and promote what we have as a people. Ghana is known as a country that was doing well back then, from the, I think, 1970s. Now we're almost lost, 1970s and through the 70 parts of the 80s and 90s. But now we're almost lost in the fashion arena. We need to revive this.
Okay, so lastly, just share with us your experience in terms of exporting your stuff. What are the volumes like?
What we've done is we export to neighboring Ivory Coast, and it's amazing why Ivory Coast would even accept things from Ghana, because if you follow what the Francophone countries do, we have the Friday wear here. They do that religiously every day. Okay. They don't have a particular day where people wear what we call Friday wear. They do that every day, like Mr. Grant. You'd see him every day wearing something that's Ghanaian. And we export to Angola as well. They love fabrics from this part of the country. So the things, for instance, from our end, from my household, Ophelia Crossland, 1957 and Velma's Accessories, when we're sending things out of this country, we make sure that they have elements of Ghana, prints that are from Ghana. So your Printex, your GTPs and what have you. But I'm sure they all want to see more, and that's the question. In terms of volumes, we're not doing so well now because of production. Unfortunately, most of the artisans who are working in the fashion industry in Ghana, let me tell you this, and it's very sad, most of them are actually from neighboring countries, neighboring Ivory Coast and Togo.
Wow.
Most of our guys don't do well. If you're looking for that quality in terms of stitching and all the different elements of getting your garments made properly, we won't even look at our own people. And that's one area that we need to really enhance, because we had our tailors leaving Ghana, working in countries like Nigeria. Some went all the way to Libya and other places. There was a great demand for artisans, or let me say tailors from Ghana. But now we're not doing very well in that area.
Okay. Keodi, stay with us just a little while, because the next contribution will be of great importance to you. Let's now wade into the area of cheap imports and how, you know, the experience has been. GTP joins us, and we want to know their contribution to the industry and the steps they've taken to mitigate cheap imports. If you've been following, you would know that GTP has really been keeping abreast, you know, of the situation, and they've been moving with the time, creating very innovative solutions as the seasons demand. They have the lockdown prints, they have the, you know, fellow Ghanaians and all of that. And it will amaze you to know the demand has been something else. Joining us right now is the Marketing Director, GTP, a member of the Vlisco Group, Reverend Stephen Bedu. Reverend, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Reverend,
good morning to all of you.
Good morning, and thank you for joining us. Walk us through your contribution to the industry and the steps you've taken to mitigate cheap imports.
Right, thank you so much. Yes, we've been very central to the entire textile business or narrative. And I'll look at it from two angles. What we are doing internally as a business and what we are doing in partnership with the government or the Ministry of Trade and Industry for that matter. Internally, what we've done is, number one, innovation, keep innovating. Like you rightly said, it's a very challenging industry. So what we do is to look at the trends and what's going on and innovate by way of designs and colors. Indeed, that is what we do. We are in the business of selling colors and designs. And so we keep innovating, coming up with new designs that appeal to Ghanaians, and not just Ghanaians, but also the international community, particularly the US of A. And so we've been innovating, and I think we're doing quite well in that direction. The second thing we've done, or we keep doing, is to keep empowering consumers to be able to, as it were, authenticate what they're buying. In fact, in the US and in Europe, people want fabrics or textiles that are made in Africa and Ghana for that matter. The challenge is how to be able to tell, because most of the counterfeit stuff that you find on the market are so well done that it is difficult. They copy everything. All the copyright, the designs, the labels, everything is copied and counterfeited. And so what we've done is to put on every product we have a special sticker that allows you to be able to authenticate whether what you are picking is genuine GTP fabric or not. So that's another way by which we're contributing towards fighting the cheap import. Of course, the other thing we are doing is to keep investing in our processes to make sure that we are more cost effective in what we do. You know, we're quite a very old factory, but we needed to really upgrade most of our machines, which we've been doing in the past few years. And indeed, for the past 2 years, 2018, 2019, thankfully, with the government waiving off VAT from 2019, that came in handy. And last year alone, which is 2019, we did huge investment, bringing in some machinery to help reduce our cost and to make us competitive. So that way, we are able to keep afloat and to keep ourselves going in the marketplace. Now, there are other things which we're doing also in conjunction with the government or the Ministry of Trade. One of which, I think 3 or 4 initiatives which the ministry has proposed. One has taken off, 3 are yet to take off. We believe if all these initiatives take off, it is going to help us, the local industry, textile or manufacturing industries, to really compete effectively in the market. One of them is the waiving off of VAT for the locally manufactured textiles. This started in 2019, and I can tell you it's been great. It has really helped us to keep up with the game. The other two, which is a textile stamp, which the government, we are working very hard to introduce textile stamps onto our industry. Why this? One of the biggest challenges we have is that the local cheap imports you have, most of them are smuggled into the country. They are smuggled. So no taxes whatsoever are paid. So the government loses tax. And because they are smuggled into the country, they are able to price or sell at prices that are way low. And that makes us look expensive. And so the idea behind the textile stamp is that If you do not pay your taxes, you don't get the stamps. And so once you pay the taxes, you are given the stamps, you put the stamps on the fabrics. And so anybody who goes to the market can tell which fabric has been smuggled and which one have their taxes paid on. We believe that this would help not just us as an industry, but the government to make the necessary revenue needed. And of course, for us, once people pay their taxes, we are not saying nobody should import. We welcome importation, we welcome competition, but just make sure you have your own designs and you pay the taxes that are due to be paid. And when that happens, we believe we can compete effectively on the market, and that would help minimize, I can tell you, the cheap imports that we are having now. Of course, the other thing too is that when the textile stamps comes, of course, if you do not have your own design, you cannot get access to the stamp. So that would also help minimize counterfeit, which is one of the biggest challenges we face as an industry, as a local industry. And so the textile stamp, if it takes off, would cure or would help minimize the challenge of smuggling and counterfeit in the industry. And that should help the local industry. The other thing is that, of course, once the stamp takes off, it needs to come with a task force to be able to implement it or to see to it that it works. And so we're looking forward to, of course, we're in election year, from 2021. If these things happen, it is going to help the local industry to really, really grow. The potential for textile industry is huge. Indeed, for us, it's our second skin as Ghanaians and indeed as West Africans. So it is something that we must all together work towards growing the industry.
Thank you, Reverend, for those great calls. But let me ask you. So Yofi talked about 3, interventions by government or proposed interventions by government: the introduction of the tax stamps, the single and dedicated entry points for textiles at the Tema port, and then textile exports management systems to ensure registered designs and logos are not abused. Are we confident in these measures?
Yes.
We are
very confident.
Okay.
We are very confident in all the initiatives. The challenge is that, unfortunately, none of those you've listed have taken off yet.
Okay.
So their initiative, we're still in a discussion stage with the ministry. The only one, as I said, which has taken off, and we've seen the impact, the positive impact so much, is the waiving off of VAT on our industry.
Okay.
We really are looking forward to getting the single entry point, the textile stamps, and the registration of all these designs come up. I believe if all these initiatives, these 4 initiatives, takes off, I can tell you the local textile industry is going to boom.
Okay.
It's going to employ a lot of people. It is going to help this economy greatly. And we really are looking forward to getting this. The potential is very, very huge, especially in the US of A. I can tell you last year alone, 2019, as a business, we exported to the US market just one customer that bought over $300,000, just one, of GTP New Style Textile Designs.
Okay.
And I can tell you, but for the challenges we have, we could even do far more.
Okay. Okay.
So the potential is really huge, and we're looking forward to great partnership that would allow us to grow the industry.
Okay. Reverend, stay with us just for a while. I would engage you on your closing thoughts. But now let's go to our online audience. We have certain great interactions on the platform. Let's go to Akosia Sewapia, who joins us on YouTube. She's asking, what plans are in place for up-and-coming fashion designers and producers? Whoa, let me start with you, the president of the Governments and Apparel Association, and then after that,
Okay, thanks very much for your question. As an association, we are very keen on leading an umbrella body for the industry. Excuse me. As a matter of fact, yesterday under Codvets, I was part of a seminar that was looking at getting developing an umbrella body supported by the Ministry of Trade, Ministry of Education, and we'll be knocking at your doors too, and GIPC. That under this umbrella body, we'll look at the various segments, and I tell you, it numbers close to 300. That's looking at the person who manufactures thread, to the person who manufactures needles, to the person who manufactures buttons, and even the person who designs or conceives them, from the concept development all the way to manufacturing. That would put us in a position to develop a market-based approach to our decision taking, that we are looking at a market and how we enter it, and how we deal with competition from other countries. So for instance, China is watching us, and getting together gives us the number, strength, and focus to be able to deal with this. I assume you are a new entrant in the industry, and I used to have a similar concern when I started. It was so confusing. Luckily enough today, there is more support than it was in our time. It is exciting to look at an audience like this with a lot of people wearing African prints. When we started, you go to church or you attend an event, and people might even be asking you, but what are you wearing? You know, but now the narrative has changed. We are proud of it. So I think the future holds very well for you and us already in the industry. Thank you.
That's your take on fashion designers, and but let me come to you, Madam Nora, before I come to Yofi. At the recently held AFTA conference, you made this point that it's necessary to establish niche markets where you can produce in mass, or else stay small and your ideas may be stolen from you.
Right.
Today you articulated something close. Let me chip in this question for textile designers and producers. What can be done to protect them?
Okay. The points that were brought up by Steve were very important, what government is doing.
Yeah.
Policies are very key. The next step, I keep saying, is it's so difficult in the fashion, garments and textile industry to protect your designs.
Okay.
I learned that at a very early stage in the industry. And it was a buyer in the US who advised me. They'd come into Ghana, they'd seen my designs, and I was so protective of it, and I'm not going to produce more than this number and blah, blah, blah. And she said to me, Nora, take out a few of these things that you have in there, your bead buttons and so on, reduce the numbers, make it affordable, mass produce it, make your money and forget about it. And that is what I have learned. So currently, Slee Garments Export Limited, our factory is open to support. We are supporting local young designers, okay? I'm a fashion designer myself, so I appreciate protecting one's work. And I am so against people copying other people's work. When I started, those of us who went into the industry, we were creative people. We knew what we had. We were proud of what we had. I wasn't interested in doing what Kofi Ansah was doing. He wasn't interested in doing my thing. We all had our thing. We put it out there on the EU markets, and we all did well. So what we have done is this. You bring the design, and we actually help you to develop the market as well. We haven't created the online platform yet, but we're doing that now through our own contacts and through access to markets. This is why I'm saying let's do it big, let's partner. If I have been able to access bigger markets, I'm not holding it to my chest because I have over 300 machines in my factory. We can employ over 1,000 people. I need jobs for them. So why am I going to be averse to opening markets for you when you have a great design? We are currently producing for a young designer. They started with socks. Now we're doing masks to match. Sorry, I'm letting out to match their products. But anyhow, this is what it is. You come to us, we'll help you develop it, and we have to mass produce. And you see, one of the things that PSI introduced was that you get a bigger space. So if you have 6 machines, come in with your 6 machines. Sit in one place. The Chinese are doing that. This is one company, another one, and we will source a bigger order. So your 6 machines may be able to produce just so much. Be happy with it. The next one with the 12 will produce more, 20 more, but you produce under one umbrella. You ship us one good, and this one order. And you access a bigger market. You forget this design, move on to the next thing. And this is why Corvette, we are so proud of what Corvette is doing. I'm a Corvette ambassador. Nalem is a role model. You know, this government has done so well, and we need to make the most of what they are offering us.
Is that 4 more? Is that 4 more?
Four more for Nana. I have said it. You know what? There is access. There is access. And this is why I'm talking about partnership. And I say it boldly. If I say four more, I say it boldly. This is why I'm talking about the partnerships. The markets are available. The agencies have been established. Funding has been given to them. Private sector, you need to let public sector know what we need. You are the ones to let them know what we need. You have to continue engaging them. You have to help bring the plan and implement the plan. You don't go along with what public sector says. You are the entrepreneur. If public sector, public sector also has to tick what they have done for a period of time with their budget and their plan. But if you sit back expecting them to develop everything for you, you're not going to go anywhere. Okay. So smaller designers, it is possible for us to put you together. It is possible for you to manufacture bigger orders. Look, it was in the early 90s that I shipped the 10,000 pieces of my designs, 4 designs in batiks. Nobody has done it in this country till now. I can tell you, show me who. But it was with working in partnership with others. They had their factories. I had trained my own quality assurance persons. I put them in the factory so quality was as exact. We shipped to Pier 1 imports, no rejections. They continued to write to Sleek, then it was Sleek Fashion, for many years until they realized we were not interested in going back there. Because people, we suffered to make it. But when we take on something, all of us, we must make sure we deliver. I made sure we delivered. But it was very difficult because of machinery. I'm coming to that. We need that agency that will help us replace obsolete equipment, bring in innovative equipment. This is why the partnership must be real. If we are going to pay corporate taxes and income tax, then we are true partners with government. So it has to be a real thing. Equipment is one, skills development is another, infrastructure, and even setting up a common service center. Some of the equipment are so expensive for any one company to afford to buy. If there's a common service center, and some of us tried to move this idea, the World Bank was ready to support it, but again, because we don't have, private sector doesn't have that partnership that we need, but we can develop it. So I'm not hitting on us. Let's develop it. Somebody has a better, bigger idea. Go behind that person because it's going to benefit you. Don't go behind that, go around it because you're nervous about it. Don't get nervous. Let's leverage the strength of those in the industry, designers like myself who have accessed bigger markets, who started with one machine, who have supported and serviced and styled the Winnie Mandelas and all over the world, access markets. Let's work together and let's go out there with volumes. That is what we need. The volumes will make the difference for us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And soon Melania Trump will join. But Yofi, while you're taking your, take, or you're having your take on these, let me just add to this. You have the muscle, you can take all of this. Is there a specific guideline book for foreign investors for the industry? This is coming from Alamgir Hossein. He's from GIZ. He also chips in this, that what is the future? What's the future plan to develop skilled manpower for the future textile sector? Over to you, sir.
The direct answer is no. There's no specific guidelines in the textiles. We, as GIPC, works on behalf of all Ghanaian industries across sectors. But yes, we do have, the guidelines do exist. This morning we've mentioned some of the policies that government have put in place, and they are very clear. There's also the move to have the Ghana Association of Ghana Apparel and Garments Manufacturers. It's a business network that in itself also facilitates the knowledge of what the policies are by working together. So those policies are there, just like how we have policies for agriculture and policies for industry. But I think he raises a very good question, which I will definitely take up and see if we can actually put together a compendium of, should I say, policies and guidelines for the textiles and garments industry, working, of course, with the association because it's a private association, and I believe that, as Nora said, once we know what they want and we can actually craft it, then we will come out with a specific policy framework that can be accessible to anybody in the industry. So I think that should very much, and there was a second question.
The second one is in respect of, what we can do for the textile manufacturers?
Well, I mean, there is a lot. There is a lot. I mean, training is key in every aspect of any profession.
Okay.
Training is key. And with COTVET training and the TVET education, I believe that there is already, the foundations of training for that.
Okay.
But it's just not training to do. There are other aspects of it which are key, especially to the garments factory, and that is quality.
Okay.
And Nora did mention the idea of quality. Even quality of design is an aspect which is sometimes lost on many of our designers. And you see, design is usually market specific. There are traditional African designs that will appeal to Africans, but that will also appeal to a certain select group of people looking for exotic product. The fact that you think that you can put this here and put that there and put it together is a great design may only rest with you.
Okay.
It's the market that will decide whether it's a great design, and it's the quality that will sell it to the market you want. Quality is a non-negotiable construct in garments.
Okay.
You must have the quality. And I dare say that we do have producers. I mean, Nalem has exceptional quality.
Sure.
He mentions that as far back as my young days in Databank, he used to come there. He didn't have a factory, he didn't have anything. He would come with a product in a bag, in a rubber bag. But he soon understood what the client wanted. You don't want threads that are going all sorts of directions. You don't want zigzag sewing. You want it straight, you want it clean. And so today, he's worked through that, he's where he is. Nora was able to break through a market that wasn't traditionally a market for us. Why? The design was matched by quality, and that quality sells, and is sold. So yes, I mean, we must keep putting emphasis on the training.
Okay.
And TVET is important, technical and vocational education is important, because it may not necessarily be on textiles, but it will be on other aspects of product design and development, which will give you the quality that you want. And then, of course, with COTVET, they would give the necessary impetus to all that. So it's very important for our young people to understand that it's just not the product, but it's also the nature of the product, the quality of it, whether it tells a story, whether it gives a different flavor. All these things mashed together will make a great product. The interesting thing about products is not you who makes it, who decides. It's the market, the person who's willing to spend money on it, who decides. So you should look for what he wants and produce it for him.
Talking about that, let me go back to Reverend, Stephen Bedu, GTP. Reverend, are you still with us?
Yes, I'm still
Okay,
here.
so you heard what the CEO just said concerning going to the market and really designing to their taste. I'm told currently there's very big demand in the Western region for funeral cloth with embossed pictures of the deceased. Is it true?
Yeah, that is true.
So tell me, just
whatever he said is absolutely true.
Okay, in a nutshell, just share with us. We've seen you come up with several amazing innovations in this short period. What has influenced those innovations, and tell us the result of that?
Well, okay. Primarily, we are in the business of telling stories. We are storytellers. And we tell our stories through designs and colors. So what we do as a company, and historically, is that every major phenomenon, whether social or political, socio-economic phenomenon, we try to tell the story of that situation through our designs.
Okay.
And so when COVID came, when COVID struck, in fact, for 2 months, we were in the house, all of us, the factory closed down. And so there was a challenge because the creative team came together and said, how do we tell the story of COVID by giving it a positive twist in a manner that will not hurt the feeling and sensibilities of people. And so, fortunately for us, we had a president who was leading the nation in the fight for COVID-19. And how was he doing it? He was doing it most of the time through the speeches. He galvanized the whole nation through his periodic addresses. And we noticed every time he appeared on the TV, you see his spectacle stood out. Every time he appeared on the TV or in the speeches, his opening statement was always fellow Ghanaians. And he would conclude by saying, this too shall pass. And so that for us struck us, we could ride on those positive energies that the president was providing or leading us with to come up to tell the story of COVID. And we think it worked. That is how come we introduced lockdown. Of course, the lockdown was to tell the various measures Ghana took to fight COVID. So the flights were stopped, no flights, stay at home, social distancing, all those measures, we expressed all those measures in design form, and then we introduced the lockdown collection. And of course, the second one was fellow Ghanaians, which again caught on very well. And then finally was this too shall pass, which was to give hope to people. Now, we are so grateful to our president for leading us the way he did, because that inspired us to be able to tell the story of COVID in a manner that was received globally by people, and we received a lot of commendations from across the world. And sales-wise, it's been great.
I'm told that the Monday after each address, there is instant demand for the print he wore for the address.
Exactly. And I must say, this president, well, the past have also done well, but Nanado's is exceptional. Every time he appears in any garment, and you know, our designs, there's a story behind every design.
Okay.
So those garments he wears, it's not for fun. He actually selects dresses or designs that tell the theme, the main theme of his message that he's going to give. You know, so and every time he gives, as he said, the following week we see a surge in demand for those particular designs, and he's been our number one principal influencer so far, and we are really grateful to him for what he's been doing.
You see,
same for Mr. Yofi Grant.
Okay. Now your efforts and that of the president create a very, amazing or yet simple case for a brand Ghana. Would you agree with me?
Yes, I do.
So now, if really we all galvanize or gravitate towards that area, we have 1957. KOD, are you with us? Oh, we've lost KOD. But let me come back to you, our panel here. The president has created a brand such that whatever he says resonates with his outfit. I mean, the world is going branding. Everything is about a brand. What is that Ghana brand that we are projecting through our textiles and our garments? I ask this because of AFTA. Now, AFTA's promise is simple. Elimination of all barriers, little or no tariffs, greater access to market, and even market info. So now, what brand are we creating as a country, and how are we protecting that brand?
I think you ask a question that if you really gave me the floor, I could be talking from now to next week.
I know.
But for the purposes of this specific conference, I will dare say one thing. I think our president has probably more than any other since we gained independence projected this country in such positive light and exposed this country for all its good things that, it's amazing. And I went somewhere, I went to a conference somewhere on the African continent, and one of my Francophone friends came to me and says, can you lend us your president for about 3 months, so we can change a few things and then you can come back to me. But even with the branding of Ghana, Ghana Beyond Aid, which instructively has been endorsed by almost every African country, has reasserted the confidence in ourselves to be able to do things. Now that's part of the branding of Ghana. Secondly, the fact that Ghana, from a declining GDP growth, suddenly became one of the fastest growing economies in the world through reforms, etc. Again, reposition Ghana in the eyes of many other African countries and the global community. That this is a country that is doing good things. This is a country that is projecting the African continent much more than anybody else. It's indeed no surprise that the headquarters of CFTA is in Ghana, because we seem to be doing all the right things over the past 3 years. We seem to have put in the right policies of expanding our economy. We seem to have put in the right policy of adding value to all our raw materials and our resources. Something which Africa must learn without flinching. That we can't be a resource-rich continent with all the resources in the world and set to be the richest continent in the world, and our people are poor because we are exporting our resources and our raw materials. Now our president says, no, we got to stop that. We need to add value to all these things and then get to the higher end of the value chain. And it just doesn't stop with bauxite, iron ore, timber, oil and gas. It's also goes with culture. We've been known as producing footballers who then ascend to the top of global soccer. It's part of our branding. And recently we've got one, because I don't like his team, so I don't say, but we've got one export who is making waves already, Pate. You know, we've got Kente, which has become almost a symbol of Africanness and black consciousness after Black Lives Matter. We've got artists. I mean, recently a Ghanaian artist sold a record amount for a piece of art that he's done. Our music is going far and it needs to go farther. You know, so the branding is in our culture, is in the clothes we wear. Jollof rice, it's become a global subject. Who makes the best jollof rice? And of course, I mean, without doubt, I mean, it must be Ghana. It can't be anywhere else. I used to eat a lot of jollof, and nobody has impressed me but Ghana jollof. So we are clear about that. So from our food, from our clothing, from our music, from our art, we seem to be pace setters. And now the president himself has become a brand.
Okay.
You know, I mean, when I see the two,
yes.
These two shall pass. I mean,
of course.
It's become a statement. Fellow Ghanaians, it's become a statement. You know, everywhere you go, you hear people say fellow Ghanaians. Now it's become a fabric, and it's come in high demand. And so we have all these symbols, etc., which cumulatively create brand Ghana. It's not in one single thing.
Idea.
The one single thing that Ghana is, that no other country can claim, though, is that we are in the center of the world. Ghana is the only country on latitude 0 and longitude 0. But in terms of the output, we are a small country with a big mouth that will do big things. And I think the future of Ghana is even much more exciting because of the president we have today.
So, Agweofe, if I should push you a little bit, before I come to you, ma'am, if I should push you a little bit, we're in the center of the world, which makes for ease of doing business to any part of the world. We import from Turkey, we import from Italy because we trust their quality when it comes to shoes, leather, and all that. What particular message can we send with our garments and our textiles? I'll come back to you, but let me come to Nora on that particular one.
Said when we got the AGUA visa, there was one thing that I kept pushing for, that the public sectors should come together, and this is the right time to have that conversation. Looking at, I mean, like GIPC is doing a lot of good stuff. Not because I serve on the board. But for all the resources that have been given to the various agencies by this government, it's time for, I keep talking about partnerships. The public sectors need to partner. And what we want is, when we go out to exhibit, whether agriculture, whatever it is, but I want to focus on garments and textiles.
Yeah.
I want to see a Ghana space. You know, when we started going out to the US with the support of the USAID, they created a Source Africa space, and guess what? It brought so much traffic to our booths. I want us to go out. GIPC does beautiful, you know, I took photos of that. They do beautiful space, you know, under the investment, our investment programs. So what we want from GEPA, we want a well-designed Ghana space, and then individual booths for the individual companies, well-established, a desk that gives the right support, Because that's what the Asians do. That's what I've seen. Over the 4 decades when I go to international shows, they make sure that they leave with good stuff. It makes a big difference when it's well branded, and you have to consult Yofi with all our colors and everything else. And then you enter that Ghana space and see what Ghana has to offer. Then you know where the kente is coming from, and you know where the cotton kente originated from, apart from the woven. You know where everything is coming from. People want authenticity. They want authentic stuff. But it's up to us to market right. And I believe we are lagging. And others come through, and this is why I worry about small designers wanting to go to a little space here and a small show here. All you're doing is giving out your ideas.
Okay.
You have no control over it. Let us make this big. So GIPC, as Agam has said, will come to you because you have a great way of marketing, and we need that. We need to have that space.
Okay.
We've all said it here, the job creation. The income, what do you call it, foreign exchange boost, growth of an economy. That is how the US and China became the economic industrialized giants.
Exactly.
They started from manufacturing, textiles and garments. Let's read the history. Even Cambodia, low income earning country, they became attractive to investors once they expanded their garment sector, garment and textile sector.
Bangladesh.
Because it opens avenues for transportation, for whatever you can think of, you know. And Yofi talked about, you know, setting up factories in the regions. It is possible. I know we are working on our railroad system. We need to work hard at it, so that it doesn't become an issue of transporting what we're there. And if private sector is partnering well, one factory doesn't have to do everything.
Everything, yeah.
Ghanaians, we need to move away from trying to do everything. Some of us have been crying out loud for too long, and we can't find the partnership. If you are well established to cut garments and how do you call it, sort them out and label them out, do that as a business and pass it on to those who are able to manufacture fast enough. Let's work together, let's capture the markets. Let's take a hold of AFCFTA. It's in our DNA to do it. We are creative, we are innovative, but we need to work at it. And we need the public sector.
We have 30 minutes more to go. Let me go to you, Gregory, and then
Sorry,
you have the last word.
I want to say something before he says it.
Okay.
You know, I'm sure everybody in Ghana knows Nalem. Now, why is it so widely known, and why has it been sustained? Standards.
Yeah.
And it's not because it's here that I'll say that. I always say that today, if you go out in any enclave where there are shops, a mall, everything, the one Ghanaian name that you find that sticks out is Nalem. But they've standardized, and that standard is on a certain quality. And that quality is perhaps what defines his brand. And so it's a very good example for up-and-coming designers to see how he got that brand established from his standards and quality. And I think when we talk of brand Ghana, those are the little elements that in our own little corners we need to motivate, facilitate, and put together to have the brand Ghana.
Okay.
I mean, people say that when they compare Ghanaians to other West Africans, we are the more laid back, we are the happier, peaceful, more peaceful lot. This country is known for its political, should I say, stability, which is a major selling point for many investors. So yes, I mean, young people need to be pushed, but learn from those who have done it. They didn't do it overnight.
Sure.
They stitched together a lot of things, like a shirt, to get the whole complete shirt that is the brand they have today. So I just wanted to make that point before he speaks.
Okay.
Yeah. So moving on from this branding, it has been well spoken about. It's a passion I want to express in the interest of our dear nation. I think it should be an intentional move by governments to affect a certain mindset across any sector of influence, be it music, be it movies, be it fashion, that the Ghanaian is great, the Ghanaian is bold, and the Ghanaian is confident. Then we also have to move away from this competition, unnecessary competition amongst ourselves. That you'd find in traffic someone crossing you and getting nowhere. You know, we should move away from that. and understand that the competition is not or should not be amongst ourselves. Our competition, I will narrow it down to the fashion industry. First is the second-hand markets, because Ghanaians wear more second-hand clothes than tailored clothes. Moving from second-hand clothes, the next is made in China clothes and shoes and everything. That's the next competition. Then we start looking at the West and all that. We are at the bottom of the list in terms of competition amongst ourselves, you know. So if GIPC would take a very focused and strategic look at this, that in pushing Ghana, we promote a brand Ghana, but also based on a certain shared mindset, like the US movie industry does. Every American has a certain mindset that he's from the greatest nation. Even though when you start talking to him, you realize there's no greatness. So we need to push that brand agenda as a people. Thank you.
All right. And so it's been time well spent. Day one of the GIPC Garments and Textiles investment meeting. And we've been dwelling on the future of garments and textiles in Ghana's industrialization drive. It's been thought-provoking, very rich insight. Tomorrow, we delve into another phase of this discussion where we'll get to hear of the role of the Ministry of Trade and Industry in the garments and textile sector, I beg your pardon. International standards, pricing and marketing competitiveness to grow in the sector. We also talk about the after and its effect on the sector, jobs and export, the potential of vertical integration. We also take the Kente as Ghana's heritage, the competitive advantage, challenges and opportunities, as well as the place of skilled labor in the markets and textile sector. We couldn't have done this without the kindness of this rich panel. Allow me to salute once again Mrs. Nora Banaman Abbott, the CEO of Sleek Garments Limited. I hope I got that correct. Thank you very much.
Sleek Garments Exports
Limited. Forgive me. We're also grateful to you, Mr. Gregory Kanko. You are the president of the Association of Garment and Apparel Manufacturers. We say thank you to you, our CEO, Mr. Yofi Grant, and also our online panelists who joined us, Mr. KOD, Kofi Otridakon, I beg your pardon, KOD, CEO of 1957. We're also grateful to Reverend Stephen Bedu, Marketing Director of GTP. We say thank you also to Mr. Michael Abana, Acting Executive Director of the Cotton Development Authority, and Mr. Gregory Simkins, Senior Advisor, USAID. We leave off with a video on what we're doing to strengthen this sector, but not before I've shared my little takeaway. Today's discussion certainly leaves me with a few takeaways. One, that we need to build capacity by way of investment and retooling, standardization, partnerships, branding, and most of all, a change in mindset to grow in Ghana and to grow with Ghana. Join us tomorrow as we conclude these discussions. My name is Jerry Ajololo, and on behalf of GIPC, I say thank you all for coming.
The textiles and garment sector is one of the most strategic sectors in Ghana in terms of export potential and job creation. Ghana's new strategy is based on selected anchor industries that will transform the economy. The textiles and garment industry is one of them. Ghana's textiles and garments sector has seen a resurgence over the past few years. Vibrant traditional prints and hand-woven motifs are finding their way onto the international fashion stage. Successive governments have proactively facilitated expansion in the industry, with import duty exemptions for plants and machinery and corporate tax discounts of up to 50% within economic trade zones.
The government of Ghana over the years has shown a real desire to make textiles and apparel a priority industry. I think they recognize the enormous potential for employment that exists in this industry. And there are some very good programs in place, such as the Free Zone Act, which we benefit from, in addition to just a tax holiday that we get because of that. which allows us to invest in the company in the early years. It also gives us sort of a streamlined customs process that allows us to get materials in and finished goods out in a streamlined, efficient way. The port here in Ghana is actually not nearly as congested and busy as some other ports that we've experienced in the past. So that's also a big positive about the infrastructure here.
Geographically located in the center of the world with access to the major global market centers and boasting the largest seaport in the West African sub-region, Ghana offers shorter lead times to the EU and US markets.
If you are an apparel sort of manufacturer, shipping times moving from Asia versus that moving from West Africa into the developed country markets, you can easily shave off about 10, 15, 20% of your shipping times when you ship from us.
Ghana's strategic location, being the center of the world, makes it unique as a logistics hub. And so it's also a good attraction for investors who want to look at it, to export to Latin America, to export to North America, and then to Europe.
One of the leading garment manufacturing companies in Ghana is Dignity DTRT.
Dignity DTRT is an apparel manufacturing company. We do t-shirts, polo shirts, fleece jackets. Currently, we export to the US market. We've exported over 16 million garments. We have been the largest exporters when it comes to garments in the country, even in West Africa. The workforce, we have currently 2,500 workers from the 50 that we started with.
Ghana has a large youthful population, an abundant source of labor who speak English and are easily trainable.
In other countries, they take up to 6 months to train such people. Ghana has a proven record of using 1 to 3 months to do it.
And within a month, you have specialists. Within 3 months, they've picked up speed with quality.
So we've done a lot of the benchmarking, and I think in the industry, there will be 2 primary cost drivers. So one will be around wage costs, and the second one will be around power costs. On the wage costs, the West Africa region and Ghana in particular is really pretty competitive.
When they come to work in these factories, they earn a little less than $100 a month, and some a little over. That's overly internationally competitive, So for the cost of labor, guaranteed, this is a place to look at.
So the fact that Ghana is English speaking is very good for us as US investors. It just makes things easier.
For 3 years, starting from 2019, the government has introduced zero-rated value-added tax on locally manufactured textiles to ease cost pressures on the industry. Ghana already enjoys tariff-free access to EU and US markets with initiatives like AGOA.
So since we started exporting to the US under AGOA in the early 2000s, we never missed shipment. And when I say we, I'm talking about Ghana. The hoodies, the jogging pants, name whatever article, we can make them here in Ghana. And the quality is so high.
Ghana's northern regions fall within the cotton growing corridor of West Africa.
The region has about 10% of the world's cotton supply. So I think, all across the Sahel, from Mali to Chad to Burkina Faso, there's just cotton available in the region.
The investor who invests in fashion is looking for market-seeking opportunities. So they see what will make us more competitive to produce here. And although Ghana doesn't have a very large cotton producing industry in agric, we are surrounded by countries that do a lot of cotton, which you can really bring in here to process and then weave into the fabrics and then do the design and printing. And the important thing is that we create an environment where we are competitive.
And with investments made during its post-independence era, Ghana boasts an existing textiles milling and spinning infrastructure in the eastern region. With new developments in rail transport and existing road network, it is possible to import cotton from Ghana's northern neighbor, move it over the Volta Basin by barge to Akosombo, where it can be processed and used. Garments can be finished into manufactured goods in the free zones industrial parks like Dawa.
We have just set up a 2,000-acre park. This is the largest industrial park in Ghana. So we are engaged with various agencies of government, including the GIPC and the Ghana Free Zones Authority, to set apart a dedicated enclave for the garments industry. And among the factors that went into locating the place was proximity to the port, proximity to the airport, very good access to electricity. In both the Tema Free Zone Enclave and at the Dawa Industrial Zone, we have invested a total of almost $100 million in private electricity distribution infrastructure. We have uptimes in excess of 99% over the last 12 months. Now, this tends to be a significant, if not the most significant factor in swaying investors as to where exactly in Ghana to locate their facilities.
Fortunately, because of Ghana's competitive cost structure, coupled with the AGOA duty-free access to the US, we can actually be very competitive here cost-wise while doing it the right way, right? While paying people a wage that is a good job, that lifts them out of poverty, right? That gives people benefits, that doesn't cut corners on sustainability and environmental aspects. And so, from that standpoint, we feel Ghana has been absolutely the right choice as a location for us, and is a great location for the future. And I'm sure there will be many more companies like us in the near term, and we will grow tremendously as well.
Our vision is to make Ghana the leading manufacturing hub for garments and textiles in Africa. And our value proposition is based on a number of strategic considerations. First, we have a strong, dynamic economy that will offer attractive incentives and return on your investments. Secondly, we are politically stable and we are a thriving democracy, which is very important for investments. Thirdly, we also offer a safe and secure working environment. Yes, it's true, investors want to make money, but they want to be able to stay alive to enjoy the fruits of their labor. Fourthly, we also have a fair, equitable, and transparent judicial system, which is very important for resolving disputes that come up in business. 5, we have a well-educated and easily trainable working force, and that also is important for productivity and also for competitiveness. And last but not the least, Ghana's strategic location with the good complement of infrastructure and logistics, I believe makes Ghana the most ideal location for developing a vibrant, dynamic textile and garment industry on our continent.